Alright, I told y'all all the good things about my dad. Now I'm gonna tell you all the bad things about my dad. From the beginning of what I could remember, my dad was always very strict. My dad was the type of person that he would not allow either my mom or the oldest sister of the home. I have two older sisters. There's only three of us, okay? So at the time, my oldest sister was, I think, 14. And he smacked her across the face. And my mom. Just because she was putting powder on. With, back then they used to say compact. That's one. Another thing I heard about my dad when I was little was that he literally dragged my sister, the oldest one, out of New York at a school. Dragged her out, spanked the crap out of her so hard to the point where my sister peed herself. And the only reason why he did that was because he said that she is not allowed to talk with a little black kid. And she was talking to a little black boy. And he got there. And he saw that. And that's why he did that. Another thing. He was always allowed to be looking at other women and checking out other women in front of my mom. I know this because my oldest sister told me this when I was still adolescent age. She told me that they would go out in public to the parking lot or to the store or wherever, and there would be a lady, and in Spanish my dad would tell my mom, like, oh my god, look at her big butt, look at how tight her shorts are, look at her, how tight her pants are, they look like they're all up her butt, like, oh my god, look, she has such a huge juicy butt. And he would say that to my mom, expecting her just to take that like it was normal. And my mom would, she would. A lot of times my dad would take off in the middle of the night, and he would take off to the strip clubs. Okay, I know he's being a man and whatever, but at the same time, he would get so wasted to the point when he would have to come back home in a taxi. And then when he would come home in a taxi, he would actually have to go on the bus with my mom and my sisters and me on the bus to the strip club so he can go and pick up his keys, because they would hold his keys because they were like, you can't be driving drunk. And my mom put up with this like for a very long time. Very long time. Then after that, my dad had gotten his third DWI. So back in those times, it was not really that much of a deal. Over the years, DWIs had gotten more serious. So then, when he had his third DWI, he actually ran the red light and he crashed into another car after he ran the red light. The other people in the vehicle, there was elderly women there. One of them broke her ribs. Another one was permanently disabled because of the accident, because of my father. Now, he had did about 2 years probation after that. And I know this because I looked up his record now. I looked up his, whatever. But that wasn't enough for the DA, the district attorney. Then after that, what happened was that They sent his case to trial. He went to trial, and then when he went to trial, they had doctor's notes and doctor's diagnosis and all that, from the victims. So then it came out to, even though he finished his 2 years probation like successfully, like he still had to go and get sentenced. So when he had his trial, they sentenced him to 10 years in prison. He only did half of it for good behavior and for him working his time off, right? I kid you not. That morning, I remember like it was yesterday. That morning when my mom and my two older sisters and I, we were walking with him to the bus station, to the bus stop, to go for his last court appearance. My dad was stumbling, falling over, barely hanging on to the fences on his way to the bus stop, sucking on lime, everything. Like, he was still drunk. Like, he was not able to even walk straight. And I remember, even though he was like that, like, all of us were still joking around, making jokes here and there. Like, we were laughing. Like, I was happy with my sister. We were making jokes. We were just playing. We were just kids. And then my dad and my mom. And I remember my mom was like, you better be sucking more on this lime. And, so you could sober up and all this stuff. Like, the judge can't see you like this. And, we were all... Anyway, it was all like, we were chitter chatter. The only thing I remember is that when we went to the courthouse and we were in the courtroom, the only thing I remember, and it's strange, because the only thing I remember was when they handcuffed him and they took him to the back. That's the last thing I remember from the courtroom, like being inside the courtroom. And I remember that my mom had told me, like, when they try to send him back, you cry and go in front of the judge and tell him, no, that's my dad. But the only thing I remember was, like, I saw that the officers had him handcuffed and they were taking him to the back room. And then from there, ever since then, like, he spent the rest of the 5 years in prison. That day really, really affected me so much, because I remember when we were going to the court, leaving the house with my dad, we were all talking, chattering, chatter was going on, all this, talking, conversating. As soon as we came back from the courthouse and we were coming back home, nothing but silence. Not a word. From me, from my mom, from my sisters, none of us were talking to each other at all. We came back in pure silence. And I'm going to tell you, that's the worst feeling ever. Ever, ever. For the longest time, I used to think that my dad did not love me or my sisters. But over the years, I came to realize that nobody is perfect. He did love me. And he did love me and my sisters. The only thing that is hard to see is that Nobody is perfect. And I get emotional because almost most of my life, I grew up thinking my dad did not love me. And my dad never cared about me. But that's not true. Because my dad loved me. He did. When he was here, when I was a little girl, he worked hard. We had up to three cars. We had 2 cars and 1 truck. My dad worked so hard. Everybody makes mistakes. And a lot of people think, oh, he's still alive. You could go see him whenever. It's not that easy. Just because I still love my dad and I forgive him for what he did, it does not mean that I'm going to trust him with my 2 little girls. I'm not going to trust him for that. I can't just pick up and leave and go and see my dad. Now that he's old, now he needs help. And I sent him money. He's still in Mexico now. He had a resident card when he was here. When he finished his sentence after the 5 years, they took away his resident card. And they deported him. Now that he's old, now he needs help. And I'm willing to forgive. Because I'm nobody to judge him. And I know that he loved me. I know he did. It was just a bad mistake, bad decisions. But lately, I've been in contact with him a lot more. I have. He's been messaging me a lot more now, and because he's old already. But I believe in God, and there's a God up there, and God knows. God knows that I know I'm nobody to judge him. That's my blood. That's my dad. And I just want him to know that I love him. And I know that he always loved me. Even though, however he was, whatever he did, I'm always gonna love him. And I understand him now too. I just wish that I could reach somewhere. I wish I could, I know I'm getting there to this point, but I wish that I can get to that point right away. I know it takes time, but I wish I could be to this point right away where he'll be proud of me and he won't be disappointed in me, so that he can say, wow, Cindy actually did something with her life. But yeah, that's the story of my dad. After he got released from prison, I thought he was gonna come over here. to come back home. This is my childhood home where I'm at with my mom and my kids. I grew up here with my dad when he was here. I thought he was gonna come back to this house and he didn't. Why? Because the government took away his resident card. They deported him. But then even after that, I thought that we would be able to bring him back, illegally or with a visa or something. He didn't try at all. He didn't not even give a fuck, like, at all. He was fresh out prison. The first thing he wanted to do, he wanted to get married with some other lady. He got married with another lady and had some other kids with this other lady. And then now, are they there for him? No. Karma's a bitch. Whatever you do, it comes back to you. Because my dad was a big time asshole. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. He was to my mom. Okay, so now that he's old, his wife don't give a crap about him over there in Mexico. His kids don't give a fuck about him either. They're not helping him. Now who does he have left? He has me, my mom, and my sisters. My sisters don't send him shit. My mom already sent him money. I have a tia that also sent him money too. And then I sent him money now too. Because I know that he's old and now he needs help. But yeah, like, I love my dad regardless though. And I don't know, some of y'all might think like I'm stupid or whatever, but I don't see it that way. Because I think that everybody makes mistakes. Like, imagine if you made mistakes too, and then like later on you're like, you have your kids and you're like, oh well, I took care of them when we were babies, and like, how about now? Like, now I'm old and now like I need help, so like, can y'all please help me? Of course, how it's gonna feel ugly, and you're gonna feel like crap if they don't want to help you. Because like my dad, like, he can be whatever the fuck you want to say that he is, right? A drunk, whatever. But now he don't drink. But I mean, back then, like, he was a drunk and whatever, and he did whatever he did, and he got separated from me when I was little, and I didn't grow up with a dad. It was only my mom and I. My mom and my sisters and me. Early in the morning, when we had to go to a church, go beg for food. Go and ask for food at a church. And then it wasn't even food that we liked. The fact that we grew up poor. Fucking dirt poor. Like oversized clothes that didn't even fit us. And we still had to wear it because we had nothing else to wear. Eating some nasty yogurt, nasty cheese, and nasty cereal that we freaking hated it. But we were hungry, so we had nothing else to eat. Of course we had to eat it. My mom did her best, and I love her for that. I really do. And maybe that's why my sisters don't want to talk to my dad. Because we suffered through so much. We went through so much when we were little. We really did. Staying home alone and all this other crap, But I just thought y'all should know the story about my dad. And like, I still love my dad. And I still help my dad. I don't know, this might like inspire some of y'all to talk to y'all's dad or talk to somebody who did y'all wrong. Because like, to me, that's how I see it. Like, yeah, he did us wrong and it was a really sad time for us and, traumatic experience and whatnot. But I feel like at the end of the day, like, that's my dad. Like, no matter, like, if he was not there for me, like, most of my life. But at least, like, I want my conscience to be clear. And, like, I feel like, like, he's my family and I'm still gonna do, like, what I can. Like, if I can help him, like, I'll help him, That's how I see it. I don't know. But yeah.